Section 3. Section 3 is taking the individual out into the neighborhood. I like to go into a neighborhood environment. They've got a lot of corners, sometimes they have cul-de-sacs, but again, it's a comfortable place to get acquainted, and they can go slow without causing any kind of problems. Make sure you pick a neighborhood, hopefully that where there's not a lot of kid activity, because again, you need to make sure that this individual again is safe. As you drive through the neighborhood, they will get acquainted with making corners. I talk a lot about square corners. Square corners are basically intersections where you have to go deep into the intersection before you turn the wheels. Most of these have very long wheelbases, and a long wheelbase, or they need to move very far into the intersection before you make a right turn or a left turn. You're going to find periodically you'll have the wanderer, what I call the wanderer. This is the individual that drifts way to the left as they're about to make a right turn. Yeah, it gives them more, an opportunity to do what I call a granny turn. A granny turn is a very gradual turn. But the problem is that you are entering into the area of another vehicle that potentially is moving safely through that person's lane. So again, a wanderer is something that, again, sometimes it's really hard to get them to stop wandering to the left when they're making a right turn, or conversely, make wandering to the right as they make a left turn. Driving in the neighborhood, though, gives them a good opportunity to see and to experience some things in a very slow manner, and periodically I stop. We talk a little bit about what they're doing or what they're not doing. And we talk about, in general, the issues associated with being safe as they're driving. Okay, after the neighborhood, I usually take them out into a highway environment, a more busy street, frequently with stoplights. This is only after you feel comfortable that they are negotiating corners safely and that they are approaching all of these in a slow manner. When you get on into traffic, I like to make sure that they again get up to to the speed of the traffic, or at least close to it, and make sure that they establish a big distance between them and the vehicle ahead of them. Make sure as much as you can have space to the left, space to the right, and that there is a lot of room, in case there is an emergency for them to again get out of the situation. Again, I can't emphasize enough, that you need to make sure that they are doing things that are safe. If they're not, again, stop the lesson. Highway conditions represent a big problem, or at least a challenge for many people, because again, the trucks coming up on either side of them. If you're on a 6-lane and you're in a center lane of the 3-lane side, all of a sudden trucks are coming up on the left and right. Average vehicle, or the speed that I encourage people to travel at, is somewhere between 55 and 62. It's probably the most most economical speed, whether it's a fifth wheel towable or a Class A, Class B, or Class C. And some people are tempted to roll a lot faster. I would encourage them to at least suggest that this is a good speed to be traveling at. The idea, though, that you have space between you and the vehicle ahead of you, and that people are not getting up close on the rear, is very important. I want to emphasize another thing, that as you approach an intersection with the person, at some point along the lesson, I like to tell them to hit the horn. And frequently, they don't even know whether or not the horn is on. With many of the Hadley horns, it's an air horn, and there is a button to turn on the air horn. Make sure that they use it, because again, it's a safety device. If you're coming to an intersection, you see that the person is distracted, the person coming at you, about to enter into your right-of-way, is distracted, or perhaps is making gestures to move ahead whenever it's going to create a collision environment. The horn. Make sure that they have their hand, or at least their thumb, on the horn to use it. So again, the horn is a very important safety device as you go through this lesson. As you proceed along with the lesson, again, talk to them. At some point in the lesson, whenever you feel that they're getting comfortable behind the wheel, they're doing things and they're doing things well, start a conversation about their kids or something like that. And I got to tell you that, this is something of a distraction, but it also gets them, or makes for a less tense student. Some of these people actually have a death grip on the wheel, and again, even that, I talk to them about the death grip on the wheel and how are they positioning. We used to teach that you have your hands at 10 and 2. I don't recommend it anymore. What I say is there is a safe place on the steering wheel. You need to be able to react to situations that come up. As you're traveling on a highway, I try to emphasize a couple things. Blowouts, you do not hit the brakes. You do keep your foot on the accelerator and then gradually let up on the accelerator. So again, as hard as it is to get that across to people, it's important that they know. Nowadays, the modern tires are less likely to blow out, but if it does happen, they need to know how to react. The other thing is, deer or any other animal coming onto the roadway, the last thing you want to do, and the thing you have to emphasize with these people, is at 40 or 50 or 60 miles an hour to take and move the steering wheel very severely. You're going to roll this sucker, and it's not a, again, it's something you're probably going to have to hit the deer in a bad situation, or the animal. Hopefully not a child, but the bottom line is that, at some point your safety, their safety, is paramount. As you go along, you'll find that people or cars on a freeway or a highway tend to pack up. There'll be a pack of cars, then there's an open section, and then another pack of cars. The most ideal environment is where they're straddling the two packs. This is sometimes almost impossible, but again, this is an objective. That distance between you and the vehicle ahead of you, whatever it was in the car, it needs to be more in an RV. Our reactions, most of us are senior citizens, and whenever we're behind the wheel, we need, or our reactions are not as good as they once were. So we need a lot of distance, to react to situations that come up. One of the other things that I try to emphasize to them is that, as we get older, we have what I call lazy eyes. We don't see a lot of the things that should be seen, safety things that, could be a problem. I used to read traffic accident reports, and in the traffic accident reports, inevitably, or at least often, there was, I didn't see him. He was there. Clearly would have been visible if the person would have been looking, but this no see him problem is really something you need to talk to people about. If they're going to be safe in a car or the RV, they need to have those eyes moving around. They need to see what is to be seen and the potential problems. This is going to end section 3, and again I want to emphasize that I'd like to talk to you after seeing this.